Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are featuring the Marvel Legends X-Men Maggott. Alright, so this belongs to the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure wave. You collect 6 of the 7 figures, and you'll be able to build the Reaver character Bonebreaker. Alright, so I'm excited because I finally, with the addition of Maggott, have the entire wave of figures. I've already previously reviewed Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Havoc. Today I finished filming Siren, Vulcan, Darwin, and I'm going to do Maggott right now. Hopefully tonight I'll have enough time and I'll put together and review Bonebreaker, so look out in the future for those reviews. So Maggott. Maggott's one of those X-Men characters that he's not necessarily a mainstream character. I believe the character was introduced, I want to say maybe either the mid or late 90s, I think. I might not be 100% sure on that. It's been a long time. I kind of always associated Maggott with a certain generation of X-Men mutant characters. For example, I think he was kind of introduced around the same era as the X-Men character Marrow. You know, if you're familiar with Marrow, she's another feral Wolverine type character, and her powers is that she could like shoot bones out of her body. You know, she can use them as weapons. It's kind of weird. It's kind of gross. Maggott, he also kind of has a weird mutant power. It's described on the back. So Maggott's mutant power is his 2 giant slugs, Eenie and Meenie, that serve as his digestive system. It's kind of gross. I think the character kind of had a following back in the day. I don't know if he's been very active on the X-Men or in any of the mutant titles over the last, I don't know, 10 years. I think every now and then the writer pulls him out, you know, dusts him off and puts him on on an adventure or a cameo or a guest appearance. But for the most part, this figure I kind of feel like is a real love letter to fans of this generation of X-Men during this time period. And for me anyways, it's kind of like the sleeper hit. I was very excited when I started seeing photos of this figure, and you know, being able to handle him up close now, I'm really excited because I believe a lot of this might be like new pieces, I think. Before we talk about the figure real quick, beautiful artwork by artist David Nakayama. And we have Maggott, and I'm really excited. This looks great. As you can see, you have the Build-A-Figure pieces for Bonebreaker. You have Bonebreaker's head, and that looks awesome. You also have Bonebreaker's assault rifle right here. And let's get started with Maggott. So Maggott comes in at about, I want to say, if I had to guess, maybe 6 1/4 or 6 1/2. Oh wow, he's pretty tall. He comes in a little bit under, almost 7 inches. So that's cool. He's a little bit slightly taller than some of the Marvel Legends figures that are out there. Really impressed with the sculpting. I said this in some of the other videos, but for whatever reason, I kind of feel like Hasbro with the Marvel Legends, especially the last few comic book waves, the quality of the sculpting on the face, they've really taken it up a notch. It's so much better than some of the faces we've gotten in previous years. You know, right now I think whatever they're doing with the sculpting, it looks really great. It's very convincing. You know, there's a very lifelike quality to it. And when I say lifelike, I mean not that it's like photorealistic, but the character just really comes to life. You know, that looks friggin' awesome. He has that little tuft of hair on top. Blue skin. I love the texture on the jacket. Really well done. It kind of reminds me of some of the stuff that we're seeing with McFarlane and their action figures, or even some of the Hasbro like MCU action figures. The MCU figures always have a slightly higher level of detail than the comic book releases. Great texturing on the shoulder pauldrons as well. As you can see, there's some scratches, and it looks a little distressed, so it looks kind of like worn and weathered. I like how his sleeves are kind of rolled up, or those might be cuffs actually. Interesting ab cut right there on the body. It looks a little bit different than some of the ab cuts we've gotten on other figures. The belt is really well done. As you can see, nice fine micro texture on there as well. I like the attention to detail with the buckle. It looks nice and crisp. Likewise with the pants, again, very excellent work on the texturing throughout the material. Pretty cool looking knee pads. Realistic folds towards the bottom of his legs, above the boots. The boot design is well done also. Kind of has like a futuristic, dystopian kind of look to it. Really, really cool looking figure. Fingerless gloves. And that's Maggott. Let's take a look at his actual slugs. There's Eenie and Meanie. I don't know if there's a way to discern the two. Let's take a look at this one. This one's kind of coiled up. Three red eyes. Nicely sculpted. It's a little on the soft side for the plastic, which is nice. You don't have to worry about it like snapping in half or cracking it. Unfortunately, I don't think this is a bendy, so I believe it's just going to be permanently coiled like this. It'd be nice if it was a bendy, you know, like with the metal frame underneath and you could bend it around, but unfortunately that's not the case. The other slug is kind of much more, I don't know, laying out, if I had to describe the pose, not necessarily coiled up. See if I get into focus. This one doesn't want to focus as well. There you go. Three eyes. You can kind of see the mouth. If you have a phobia of like giant caterpillars or centipedes or insects, this might kind of gross you out. But it's pretty cool. It's kind of like the trademark of the character. Like if you didn't have his slugs, it like, you know, this is kind of like the equivalent of like Wolverine's claws. You know, it's like the defining trait of the character. And for Maggott, it's the slugs. You know, one slug is kind of coiled up, so if you want, I believe you could just kind of wrap it around his forearm. Like this. It's really disgusting. You know, it looks like it's crawling on his arm. So you can wrap one around his forearm, and if you want the other one, you can just drape the other one over his shoulder, like this. Whoops, I dropped him. And I lost him. Where the hell is he? Alright, give me a second. I want to find my slug. Alright, I think he's lost forever. I don't know where he went. I dropped the slug and it rolled underneath my table. I'll look for him later. Okay, so we have Maggott here. Like I said, he really needs the slugs. It's kind of like his thing. It's a really cool looking figure. That looks amazing. I love the sculpting and attention to detail. Now let's take a look at his articulation. Because I'm kind of wondering how much of this is new, because I don't recognize some of these pieces. So I'm not sure if he's entirely a new sculpt, or if these are just repainted pieces and I'm just not recognizing them. Right, so his head rotates. He looks down. Awesome. That's a lot of looking down. A lot of looking up, which is nice. As I pointed out, he has a different looking ab crunch. I mean, the system's still the same, but I think the cut's a little bit different around the muscles. Crunch forward, arch back. Unfortunately, this material, it's a little bit on the stiffer side. It's not necessarily too thick, but it's just a little stiff. The shoulder pauldron is attached to the top of the coat. So when his arm rotates, it go up that high until it hits that. Goes out. Bicep cut right there. Pinless for a very clean look. Double jointed elbows. Articulated wrists. Wrists move in and out. Articulated waist. You could kick up about there. Kick out. If you move this out of the way, not too far out. It's kind of disappointing. I think Vulcan and Darwin had this issue too, where if they want a side kick out, it's not that far. Thigh cut, thigh swivel. Exposed pins, double jointed knees. Articulated ankle, and that's pretty much it. Very, very impressed with this figure. Like I said, for me anyways, it's kind of like the sleeper hit. I don't know. I think when they first initially announced the figure and I saw the photos, I was impressed, but I think my excitement didn't really grow until the figure came closer to like release. You know, once I got to handle some of the other figures or see them up close, this figure really started to intrigue me a lot more. Just because like some of the other figures, they're kind of like what you expect from other Marvel Legends figures. You know, in terms of their accessories and their design, they're very standard, very stock. You know, like Siren, Wolverine, Darwin, and Vulcan. They're just characters that are just wearing spandex, essentially. You know, this guy has a very nice coat, shoulder armor, cuffed, rolled up sleeves, fingerless gloves, and he's just covered with so much texture and detail. So for me, this is kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's a really cool figure, and I'm kind of hoping that even if you're unfamiliar with the character Maggott, I hope you really give this figure a shot. I think it really deserves it. Really, really well done. On a scale of 1 to 10, for me, easily an 8.5 to a 9. For me, not including the Build-A-Figure, I think this is kind of the standout figure for me. I was really impressed with Maggott. Excellent, excellent figure. So let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And we'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.